Okay, so on number 1, we're just graphing. They give you a slope, and it says passes through 1, 1. So what do you think we're going to do first?
Put the point at 1, 1.
Put the point at 1, 1. So at 1, 1, I'm going to draw the point.
That's up to.
Perfect. So then we look at our slope. So we're going to go up 2 and to the right 3. From that point. Don't go from 0, 0. So up 2, right 3. Fill up the whole graph, whatever you can fill up. And then you go the opposite, down 2 and left 3. And draw your graph. So you just start at the point and use your slope. Make sure you pay attention to your slope. It's positive, so I went up 2 and right 3, but then I can change it to be a -2 and a -3. So I go down 2 and left 3. So this one's positive, that one's negative. Just graphing a straight line. So this hopefully is review for you. Hopefully. Okay, number 2, where do we start? 3, 1. Start at 3, 1. So you go to the right 3 and up 1 and graph your point. Okay, a negative slope. If a positive slope goes uphill like this from left to right, negative should go downhill like this. Okay, so when you look at your slope, you can put the negative on top. So I can go down 1 and right 3. Or I can put the negative on bottom and go up 1 and left 3. Okay, that's how you create the opposite line, going from left to right, going downhill. So I'm going to go down 1 and right 3. And then I'll go the other way. Up 1, left 3. So if you have a negative slope and you draw a line going uphill from left to right, something is wrong, and hopefully you take note of that and say, oh, I need to fix that. That is probably the easiest thing you're going to do today, just graphing the point and the slope. It's all given to you, so you just have to know how to do it. All right, graphing lines using intercepts. Does anyone know what an intercept is, like an x-intercept? Where it meets what? The x, right? So an x-intercept is where the graph crosses or touches, whatever you want to say there, the x-axis. X-intercept, x-axis. Y-intercept, y-axis. So where the graph crosses the y-axis. So underneath each one of those, I want to write how you find that. If I'm trying to find the x-intercept, I'm going to plug 0 in for the y. So you do the opposite. Plug 0 in for y, solve for x. So you want to get the x by itself. And then, of course, the y-intercept is opposite. Plug 0 in for x, solve for y. Okay, so on number 3, it says find the intercepts. We're going to do that first, and we're going to use those to graph the line. So I'm going to do the x-intercept first. So if I'm finding the x-intercept, I'm going to plug 0 into the y. So I have 2x minus 3 times 0 equals 12. So I just put the 0 in for the y. What happens right here? Right, it's gone. It turns into 0. The whole thing is gone. Negative 3 times 0 is just 0. So now I just have 2x equals 12. Solve for x. What do you do? Good. Divide by 2. So x equals 6. And we write that as a coordinate point. It's the x-intercept, so that goes in the x spot. What do you think goes in for the y? 0. Good, 0. So there's the x-intercepts. I'm going to go ahead and graph that. Remember, x-intercept, x-axis. So over on the x-axis, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to draw that point. And then we'll do the y-intercept. Bless you. So the y-intercept, I'm using the same equation, but now I put 0 in for the x. So 2 times 0 minus 3y equals 12. What happens to this 2 times 0? It's canceled. 2 times 0 is just 0, so just mark it out. Negative 3y equals 12. Divide by negative 3. So y equals negative 4. And we write that as a coordinate point, 0, comma, negative 4. So I want to see your answers written as coordinate points. So I graph that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And draw the line. So on that one, you only have to have the 2 coordinate points listed. Okay, I want you to try number 4 on your paper. Okay, what's slope-intercept form? Do you remember? I heard it. Y equals mx plus b. What is the m?
Or y? Slope.
Slope. Yes, the m is your slope. What is the b? Anyone remember? The y-intercept. Okay, so we just found the x and the y-intercept. This is going to be the y-intercept in our equation. I know they use that weird variable. That's okay. Okay, so we're going to first, in order to graph this equation, we're going to write it in slope-intercept form. So if you want to write yourself a note, get y by itself is what you need to do for slope-intercept form. So what would you do first if you want to get y by itself? Subtract the 3x. Good. So I'm going to subtract 3x over to the right. So this is gone. Y equals, can I combine these? No. And I want to write it in slope-intercept form. So I put the x first. So because it's a negative 3x, I leave that. And then it's a positive 5. So there's my answer. Negative 3x plus 5. Okay, again, this is your slope. So negative 3, I'm going to write negative 3 over 1. And 5 is our y-intercept. So how would you start graphing this? Where would you start at? 5 on which axis? The y-axis. So I'm going to say start at 5 on the y-axis. Because what I see sometimes is people taking the slope and they try to start from 0, 0. You always start with this first. So at positive 5 on the y-axis, put my point. Perfect. And now I want to use my slope. So I'm going to go down 3 and I'm going to go to the right 1. you go up a couple, you go up 3, left 1. Again, a negative slope should go downhill from left to right. Okay, number 6. I have the y here on the left by itself, but I have the 3/2 in front of it. How would I get rid of the 3/2? Divide. So you can divide here. If you divide, you're going to have this ugly fraction when you divide, so it's going to be really weird. So instead, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which means I flip it and multiply it. Okay, that means on the other side, I'm multiplying by the reciprocal also to the whole thing. Okay, so maybe give yourself a note here. This 2/3 has to go to both of these things. So on the left-hand side, it's gone. It cancels out. So I just have y equals, and I'm going to put the 2/3 in front so you can see what it looks like. And now I'm going to distribute. So y equals, what's 2/3 times x? 2/3 x. Then I have 2/3 times -3. I know it's going to be a negative. This is -3/1. So if we need to write it off to the side, I have 2/3 times -3/1. Good. -6/3, which reduces to -2. Now, you'll have a calculator, so if you don't know how to do that, put that in your calculator, and -2 is what goes right here. So that's our equation. So the equation is part of your answer, so I want to see that. So this is our slope, and this is our y-intercept. So where do we start? -2 on the y-axis. And then from there, where are we going to go? Up 2/3. Do you feel like this is a review? Like, is it coming back to you? Okay, turn the page when you're done with that, so I know you're ready. Okay, so on the next part, it's just talking about vertical and horizontal lines. So it says, determine if each line is vertical or horizontal, and then graph. So up here at the top, I'm going to put, if it says x equals something, it's vertical because it goes through the x-axis. Goes through x-axis. Okay, so if it says x equals, it's going to be like this. It's going to pass through the x-axis, which means it's vertical. And then, of course, if it's y equals something, it's horizontal. And it passes through the y-axis. So is number 7 vertical or horizontal? If it says x equals -3. Vertical. So at -3 on the x-axis, I'm going to put my point and just draw a straight vertical line. Any idea on what the slope is of a vertical line? It's not 0. It's undefined. There is no slope, basically. Well, no slope, I guess, would be a slope. No, that's right. No slope. So undefined slope or no slope. Your other line, y equals, this is where you're going to, so this is our horizontal line. This one does have a slope, it just has a slope of 0. So you take m equals 0 or slope is 0, something like that.
On test questions, is there like a sign for undefined, or do we just get it?
I would say just either one of these. Like you write no slope or none, or you could do undefined. Okay, so y equals 1. So at positive 1 on the y-axis, I'll put my point, and I have a horizontal line going through it. Okay, so that's pretty much it on graphing lines. We're going to do a couple inequalities. I think we'll get through at least one of them, maybe 2 of them. So inequalities, what's special about this? First of all, when you graph this, make sure y is by itself. I'm going to say alone. Make sure y is alone. Okay, if you don't have y by itself, you're going to get y by itself first. If you have a less than or greater than sign, you're going to draw a dashed line. So remember, if I'm on a number line, does it get an open or a closed circle?
Open.
Open. If I'm on a number line with the equal signs, what does it get? Closed. So this is a solid line. Okay, so on number 9, there's no equal sign, so when I graph it, I'm going to graph a dashed line. So first thing, y is by itself, so I'm going to graph it just like we did before. Start here. So positive 1 on which axis? The y-axis. Positive 1 on the y-axis. What's my slope? Up 1 over 2, so I go up 1 over 2. And then I can go the other way. Okay, and it says dash, so I just connect like every other dot is all I do. That's all you have to do for dash line. Okay, we have to pick which side we're going to shade on. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to choose a point. If you can choose 0, 0, like if 0, 0 is not on the line, which it's not here, choose that point. It's the easiest one to pick. So I'm going to pick 0, 0, and I'm going to plug it into my original equation. So in for y, I put 0, less than 1/2 times 0 plus 1. So I'm just plugging in 0, 0. And then I simplify. So this is gone. And so I have 0 less than 1. Is that true or false? True. So if it's true, I shade where the 0, 0 is. So 0, 0 is right here. So I shade below the line. And I want to see you plug a point in, because this ensures which side you shade. Don't just take a guess. So I picked this point right here, 0, 0. It was below the line. So since I picked 0, 0, and this is a true statement, then I can shade where 0, 0 is.
So you have to pick something that's below the line?
No, you don't. Like on another one, let's see. Well, here, we'll do this one. I'll show you. So number 10, it says y is greater than or equal to 2. Is it going to be a dash or a solid line? Solid. So y is greater than or equal to 2 means at 2, I've put my dot on the y-axis, and it's a horizontal line. So it's a solid horizontal line. Just goes like this. So I need to figure out, do I shade above or do I shade below? I'm going to pick 0, 0 again. So I choose 0, 0. There's no x to plug in, so I just plug in the y. 0 greater than or equal to 2. Is that true or false? False. Oops, there we go. False. So here's 0, 0. Since it's false, I don't shade where 0, 0 is. I shade the other side. So So sometimes you'll get true, that means you shade where 0, 0 is. If you get false, you shade the other side. Only if the line is directly on 0, 0, I would pick something else. So, okay, we'll stop there. We have like 2 minutes. Okay, so number 11. Number 11, I want to get y by itself. So I want to, I'm just going to say, we want it in y equals mx plus b form. So I want to put the y by itself. So how do you get the y by itself on this one? What do you do first?
Minus 2x.
Yeah, minus 2x to both sides. So that's gone. So 3y is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 6. What's next? Divide by 3, yes. And on this, make sure you divide each piece by 3. So everything is divided by 3. So those are gone. Y is greater than or equal to negative 2/3 x plus 2. So now we can graph it. So where do I start?
Positive 2.
Yeah, positive 2 on the y-axis. Yes.
How come you don't just like divide like that whole thing by 3?
You can do that. So it would be negative 2x over 6 divided by 3. The problem is then I don't know, like I still need that number to start with on the y-axis, and I still need the slope. So I just do it separately. It's the same exact thing. So some people see that, oh, okay, I can split it, and I can go ahead and do that. I just do it automatically here. That way I get my number I start at, and I get my slope. It just saves a step. Okay, so I start at positive 2. My slope is negative 2 over 3, so I'm going to go down to right 3. So it's a negative slope. It should go downhill. Up to left. Is it dashed or solid?
Solid.
Solid. Why?
Because it's the equal sign.
Right, because of the equal sign. Okay, and then I need to check a point. So you can go back to the original problem if you want. I usually use this point, or this equation, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to plug in 0, 0. So I'm going to go into this. So 0 is greater than or equal to negative 2/3 times 0 plus 2. You don't need a calculator. Look, negative 2/3 times 0, that's gone. And then I just have 0 greater than or equal to 2. True or false? False. So here's 0, 0. Since it was false, I go on the other side and I shade. Okay, let's do number 14. Oh no, we need to do number 12. Sorry. Let's do number 12. Last one. We'll do this one together and that's it. How do I get y by itself?
Minus 3.
Minus 3x. So that's gone. Negative 4y is greater than negative 3x plus 12. How do you solve for y?
Divide negative 4.
Divide by negative 4, and I'm dividing by a negative, what happens? Yeah, flip the sign. So y is less than, so here I have 2 negatives, so that's a positive 3/4 x. And then I have 12 divided by negative 4, so negative 3. That's my equation. So I start at negative 3, up 3 over 4, up 3 over 4. Is it dashed or solid?
Yeah.
It's dashed. And last thing, I need to check a point. So 0, 0. or over here on the graph. So you always take this number right here, so -3 on the y-axis, and I graph that point, and that's where I start. So 0 is less than 3/4 times 0 minus 3. So that's gone. Is 0 less than -3?
No.
No. So here's 0, 0. I go to the other side and I shade the other side. Woohoo!